Things that drove me nuts. I used to play a lot of folk festivals, and one of the festivals I called that are just for the musicians and banquets and stuff, and Los Lobos played up there one year. You know those guys, not Los Loneliness, but Los Lobos. Awesome rock and roll Mexican band. Those guys could party, and they thought I was Mexican. Hey man, how you doing? No. I'm in India. Well, you can party with us, man. So I partied with them, and this one guy, this bagpiper, kept trying to chime in, like, man, who's that guy? Get him out of here. You know, only one or two tunes, and it just, bagpipers just don't make it all the time. And, so he was in a room alone, bagpiping himself to death, while we're in there playing some songs. But this story's about a bagpiper, and it's about a guy from Louisville, Kentucky, who plays, you know, these bagpipers, they play like veterans things, or he plays weddings, and sometimes funerals, and he plays the bagpipes, Amazing Grace and stuff. So the story goes that this guy got hired to play for a homeless funeral, a guy who had died in Louisville, and he didn't have any family. And the church that was his church asked this guy, would you play Amazing Grace at the graveside at about 2 p.m. tomorrow? And he said, yeah, great. And then they went to his house, they paid him $150. He said, wow, thank you for paying me already. You didn't have to do that yet. And he said, no, we need this done. It's a sad case that he died, and we miss him. All right, I'll be there. 2 o'clock, the guy packs his stuff up early, plenty early. But like a typical guy, he didn't map out anything, and he got lost. And he was way in the back roads offside of Louisville in western Kentucky, and he looked at his watch, and it was already 3 o'clock. He was an hour late, you know. So he decided to try and find a gas station and ask, you know. So he stopped at the gas station and asked this guy, he said, listen, man, I'm an hour late for a funeral for a homeless man. I'm looking for a cemetery. They said it's back on one of these backcountry roads. I just can't find it. He goes, well, I think you're looking for County Road G. It's right over here. You have to go about 15 miles up there. There's a cemetery in between here and there, 15-mile mark. But there's a cemetery back there. It's a little one, but you see it back there. There's some homes and stuff back there, but you'll see a cemetery. You know it's there. He said, oh, thank you so much. So he took off and got down the road about 10, 12 miles, and then he saw it. There's a little cemetery off to the side of the road, and a little village there. And so he pulled up the driveway, and he saw that the funeral was done. You know, the people from the funeral, they had left hours ago. And he felt terrible because he had paid $150. So he pulled up and he looked at these guys. The grave diggers were all putting the last bits of dirt. In fact, you could see from his truck the metal casing covering over the casket. He felt bad. So instead of just leaving and dealing with it, he opened his trunk and he pulled out the bagpipe. He carried it over to the grave and he knelt down and closed his eyes and said a little prayer. He took his hat off. He started playing Amazing Grace, man. And he kept playing it, and it was probably the best he'd ever played. He just couldn't believe how good it was sounding. And he started to cry, and he looked over, and the gravedigger guys, they were sitting on the pickup truck taking lunch, you know, and drinking coffee, and they were crying too. And he was crying. He got done. He did a long version of it, and he packed it up, and he put his hat back on. He said one more prayer, and he put his head down and walked back to his truck. Sadly, felt bad. And the foreman for the digging crew comes up to him. He says, "Hey man, thank you so much." "Oh, you're welcome." He said, "That's the most." He says, "You know what? I put in hundreds of septic tanks in my life. I've never heard Amazing Grace play that."